Or did you start now? OK. I don't think we really need this because we're not so many people, but I think it's OK. Great. My name is Neda Maria Kaizumi. You see doctor in front of my name. I have a doctorate degree in organizational behavior and a specific on conflict resolution. I've been in a corporate world for 25 years, and you can't believe how much this conflict resolution is used in the corporate world. It's especially when you're working in C-suite, so it's interesting. But I have a background in AI as well. In 2019, I figured out that I would like to study more and learn about AI after 2 master's degrees and 1 doctorate. So I went to Harvard Business School and I studied data science and business analytics. And after that, I was appointed to represent Norway in EU Commission AI Act. So that's what we did. And then I'm also part of national committee to write ISO standards for AI. So we listed up about 109 standards, and right now it's 5 of them at least have been published. 3 more is to be published. I'm a public speaker and writing books. I love that. And I think one of the stories I would like to share with you is that being in a corporate world and women in the market, I used to work in a construction industry for about 7 years, and I was one of the C-suite people. 11 countries we had operations, and I was sent to Denmark for a strategy leadership meeting. When I entered the room, one of the guys who was actually CFO there, local CFO, he told me that, have you come to take notes here? And I was just smiling, and well, that is part of it, I said. And then I led the whole workshop, and it was actually great. They said this has been the best workshop we've had. And what I said that day that remained in my mind was that it's interesting how bias can be automatic. Some people actually take it like dramatic, which I don't. Usually happen when you're a woman in industry, especially in a man-dominated industry. It happens quite often, if not every day. So from that day, I was, not only that day, but from that day, actually, I remembered this story. And I was thinking that bias is something that we always have to think about. There's actually a test which I recommend to all people who are in different industries. It's called unconscious bias. And a while ago, when I say while ago, it's like 6, 7 years ago, that it was a high focus on sustainability. I was recommending this to a lot of leaders that make sure that you take the unconscious bias. Because it doesn't matter that, even at your home, actually, it doesn't matter if you're from other country or not. Even at your home, you can actually have bias to your own family. And I would like to share another story. As I said, I'm coming from Harvard Business School, and one of the assignments that we got in the school was to, after a year of study in machine learning and Gen AI and all those stuff, so we were assigned to make one kind of AI tool or project. And one of my colleagues and I, we were so excited what we did. We said, OK, let's get everything from our mobile phone and put it in practice. And what we did is that we created an application that if somebody called me, so this application collected the back end, everything on my calendar, email, like text messages and everything. And if I'm not able to answer the phone, this could tell the person is calling that I'm not available, or I have an appointment, or related information to that particular person. And we actually combined that with Avatar, which I thought is a cool thing. So, but what we did not think about bias. We did not think about responsible AI. And I want you to see the result. It's cool, but it's embarrassing. So as I said, somebody called. In this case, it was my Sarah, my friend. So she called me, and I was not able to answer the phone. And this is what happened.
Hi, Sarah. How are you? I'm a bit busy at the moment, but just wanted to quickly let you know that I spoke with Tara, and she's happy to meet us on Sunday. The only thing is, we'll need to wrap up by 5 since her daughter gets back from dance class then, and she needs to be home. Let me know if that works for you.
So far, so good. It worked. And then it just happened that another time Sarah called, and I was in dialogue with another friend, and this is what happened. Let's see if it works, yeah?
Hi, Sarah, how are you? I had a chat with Lily today and shared some of my feelings about how things have been between us. I didn't like that you came to my party and talked to Nancy behind me. I am considering to break our friendship, and I just want you to know how regretful I am being your friend. I think you don't deserve my friendship, and everything between us shall be over soon. By the way, Lily totally agree, and she thinks you are such a stupid person.
So this is the concept of responsible AI in one word. And why are we thinking about responsible AI? And why in the word EU Commission started to come with the AI Act and all the bias stuff and everything? Let me get you back a little bit to the pillars of responsible AI. This is AI Act in nutshell. So as you probably have seen, AI Act look at everything from the risk perspective. And they have divided the entire AI operation into 4 levels, which means that you have unacceptable risk, anything that you can categorize people in different social scoring is not acceptable. It has to be removed immediately, and it's already in place. The second one is a high risk, which you have a lot of operation on high risk. Most of the companies, in contrary of what they think that they don't, they actually have a lot of high risk tools. So they need to come up with something to reduce the risk, and this is the time now that it has to be done. It's already in place, effective. Then you have the third category, which is limited risk, and that's something like chatbots and stuff. So that's also coming into place from April next year. And then you have very limited, small risk. And this came because exactly like the case that I show you, it's because when things happen, you don't think so often into details that why this has happened and how I can reduce and what impact it can have to people. In my case, I actually could lose the friendship that I had. I happily managed to fix that. I was having fun with this, so I just tried to say this was just not right and so on. But in a lot of cases, people can lose literally their business, and that's not good. Let me get you a little bit more deeper into that, because right from EU AI Act, it came out something, a concept that is called responsible AI. That's a concept you probably have heard about. I would like to use a couple of minutes and to touch this. First of all is fairness. That means that it shouldn't be any bias. Let me give you an example. In California, 7 years ago, there was a hospital. This hospital was in emergency department. They were taking people in based on credit card, meaning that if you come into the hospital and you say that I have some emergency issues, so then you had to draw your credit card, enabled to pay some small fee to come in. And what happened that the hospital was collecting all the information for last 5 years for that person who drew the card. And if that person had paid any money to any charity organization, there was a high potential that this person also gives money to the hospital. So that person was first in queue. So imagine that you haven't paid anything to any charity organization or a church, and you're coming to that very hospital, and you're sitting for hours just to get in and talk to your doctor, and you're still paying that. How do you feel? So these kind of examples exist a lot in the world. And if you go back a little bit and look at your own company, I promise you can find the same thing. So any AI model that is created has kind of bias. And of course, when it came out to the media and that they interviewed the hospital supervisor or the top kind of like a board of director, they said that it's a private hospital, so they need to secure money in order to pay their employees. And that's quite fair if you look at their perspective, but looking at the patient's perspective, you see that it's kind of unfair. The next one is privacy. And the same, if you look at the very same example, you see that as a patient, when you come to the hospital, your privacy is not taken care. You're not informed that somebody is using your information from credit card and giving you a chance to meet the doctor or not. The next is transparency. Again, you're not informed. And also explainability. A lot of things is about explaining why things happen. Almost all, I think, we are living in Europe, where a lot of AI tools have been used in municipality to give us an answer in whatever social welfare that we are applying. And we see that we get rejection on a specific case, which we are very sure that is kind of our rights, but we get rejection and no explanation. So the AI tools has to be as such that when a decision is made, an explanation has to be given to the user, and also has to give a right that if you're not agree with this decision, you have a right to apply. But that's something that we don't see often, especially in the public sector. So that's why AI Act has come and requesting people to consider the AI tools. There's also another aspect, which is security. So security is, we all know it's important. This is a security conference, and I think I don't have to speak a lot about that. You really want to have a secure system in whatever case you use. And also accountability. Somebody has to be responsible when things go wrong. And it's very interesting. So when AI messed, who's going to be actually in the court? Is the courtman going to judge the AI tool? Supposed to judge the person who actually implemented? Or maybe the person who created or who designed it? If I ask you, do you have the answer? So it's a very complicated case. And sustainability is another thing, because whatever you create, it has to be sustainable. But what is bias? Bias was part of the responsible AI. Look at your house. How many of you have children? Okay, some. And if you have more than one, you see that even for your children, if you flash back to your childhood, looking at your sisters and brothers, I bet you have some stories to say that there was discrimination at home because you didn't get treated like your siblings, right? All of us have kind of that story. So bias, something is, it's very unconscious. People does it. Like at home, if I cook and it has like 5 pieces of meat when my husband comes, because my son, he's 21 and he's kind of going to training and, strong. When he comes, I make sure I give him a notice that don't eat all because leave 3 pieces for my son. So this is kind of a bias you always have, It's unavoidable. That's what I'm trying to say. And it can be cultural, it can be religious, it can be historical. Like the war of Gaza, everybody the war was split to 2. Some people were for Gaza, some people for Israel. Who is right, who is wrong? No one has the answer. You look at the world from your own perspective. You judge things based on what you have learned that is right and what that is wrong. So that's why it's difficult actually to judge and difficult to decide what is bias. But with all these things, I just would like to say when we come to the AI world, there are different perspectives. Like when we collect data and data analysis, we reflect the world around us, right? So when you're collecting the temperature, let's say in Middle East, then the type of temperature in Middle East, the humidity, the warmth, the sun, the UV for the sun, everything is different. So anything that you create for example, these sun panels to extract energy is specific for that area. When you bring that to the North Norway in Scandinavia, that can be a very big mess. And that's because your data is still biased. So data collection itself is kind of a very important thing. So when you want to collect your data to create the AI tool, you make sure that you don't overfeed or underfeed, and you have representative from all kind of the things that you do not even imagine. So that's one of the things. And then data is always incomplete. Regardless of whatever you collect, there's always something that is not completed. I'm coming from Norway. Norwegian usually are white, blonde and tall. The type of genetic is so different from other words. And if you look at 20 years ago, and the system has been created, so not so many African actually was represented in this data. So the medical cases that came out probably was not really matched for those kind of people. So it's important to look at data and always having other perspective to complete that. Then you have the human who create this data. So data is one thing, and then the human who is actually creating it, they have their own bias, and it's absolutely unavoidable. So if you're making some models for a company, you always take care of that company's profit. So you think that we are making this to give profit to this or that. You're making this to, for example, if in Europe, Europe Horizon is giving funds for startups. And when they create a system in AI tools, even though it's coming from middle of the heart of EU Commission and AI tools, so they say that make sure that these criteria are met. I mean, you have the criteria, that means that you're already biased. And then you have the model generation. So when you create this, there must be a human to, we call it in the AI word, human in loop, meaning that a human should observe and monitor everything and not sure that if that is actually done or not. And then the deployment content can be also difficult. I know that in medicine, a lot of AI tools has been used. For example, for diagnosis of like X-ray, MR, or some other things. And if the doctor thinks that, okay, this is 95% accurate, so it's okay, I just rely. So the deployment is also wrong, because that very 5% that are exposed to have a cancer or kind of a complicated sickness, they can be actually exposed to die quickly because their disease is not diagnosed. So the deployment can be also difficult. So we said that there is bias in AI, right? We have data issues, we have human factors, we have algorithms that if you are overfitting or underfitting, the algorithm can change. Or if the data users are particular people, and then the Gen AI is training the data itself and coming with a new trend. So if the users are particular from a particular part of society, so then that the algorithm changes itself. So everything creates bias. But what is the result? Should we really give up? We are mostly technologists in this room, and we know that there are a lot of bias, but what we really should do. Standard has created fairness requirement assessment. And looking at AI Act and other kind of act like Data Act, Privacy Act, combining all of this together, Standard has come up with the guidelines. And if you look at ISO 24368, that tells you what are the things you're supposed to do. So if you want to have as fair as possible AI tool, I recommend to look at ISO 24368. There it will ask with 3 simple questions. It tells you, first of all, you need to understand who you are impacting. So for a tool, for example, that is created for children, let us think that you're making a tool for children, like a robot, for them just to play. If that robot is impacting children in a bad way, so you need to think a little bit more careful than kind of adults that understand more complicated situation. So understanding who that system will affect, that is one of the cases, and what consequences that can that error bring actually to the person. And if that consequences is so dramatic, in a sense that the person, for example, may die, especially in medical system, or the person cannot have a chance to, in financial things, and cannot have a chance for a loan or improve their life. So these are the things that are very important. And also the intention behind the solution, that usually the one who ordered the solution has a particular intention, 99% for scalability, commercialism, and profitability. So the intention has to be balanced and that we don't get a very skewed model when we create any AI tool. So when you design, you also need to make sure that there is a traceability in the system, because the system can make a log on whatever is happening, all the algorithms that has been changed, all the user that has used the AI tools, and all those things, because in that, you can go back always and see, okay, what was wrong, what was right, how can I actually improve this in the next round? How can I make sure that the intention of this algorithm is not changed, and it's actually the way that I have designed? So if you look at the same standard that I told you, there are 3 different bias or ethics that has been defined. The first one, and I want you to look at this because I usually have an interaction with my presentation, so it's going to be 3 exams at the end of this 3 slides, and I would like to engage you. So please listen to this. The first one is virtue ethics. Virtue ethics actually is the character of the person who designed the solution. I don't know if you have been in military, but a lot of people who have been in military, they say that when you come to a situation that a lot of people are sore, so what you need to do, you attend the person who has a high possibility of living. So if one person has like a cut feet or hand or something and the bleeding is too much, you probably need to help another person that quickly can recover. So that's kind of a personal judgment, which is called in a standard word virtue ethics. So remember that, and then you have, well, this word is extremely difficult, but I try it. Utilitarianism. I never managed to say that properly. But in another way, it's pragmatic way of decision. So what is the best and most impact that you can create for a lot of people? Like when the ambulance call, if it's not that the first one who called, the first one who get attention. Like if you're calling just to get, for example, some person has fallen down from a chair, maybe has a broken leg, and somebody else call and say that there has been a heart attack. We only have 1 or 2 minutes, to get a shock for that heart person. So that, of course, the decision goes to the one that has the best impact. So we need to make sure that that kind of bias also or ethic has been considered. And the last one is right-based ethics. There are certain rights that everybody has in every society. If you're in a school, for example, you mess up with your gradings, then you have a right to complain. You have a right that somebody look at it. So that's also kind of another ethics. So what we're going to do now, in a moment, I would like to review the checklist, and I want to use almost 15 minutes on kind of 3 case studies. And I think, I'm in essence an instructor and teacher. I go around and teach both AI Act and standards, and I would like people to leave with some kind of outcome from the courses or presentation, not just go out of the room and say it was nice. So I want to get you involved in a conversation and you share your own experience, because that will be quite cool. The checklist that I would like to leave you with is data and features. Make sure that whenever you're thinking about AI model, you consider all kind of data. And believe me, the more you write, the less you know. So there is always something that you haven't considered. So my recommendation to all the companies who want to create any AI tool is to make sure that you involve more departments, most of the departments at least, if not all, from your company, because everybody look at it from their own perspective. And they have different views on this. And then you need to have a model and decisions, which means human in loop. And you need to monitor the progress. So if the algorithm change on the way, and of course that is not possible if you don't have the logs, so then you can capture that. And you need to have a governance for that to make sure that it tells who is responsible, who is accountable, who does what. And of course, look at the user impact based on these 3 types of bias that we discussed. So now, wherever you're sitting, I want you to find 1 or 2 people around you, and let's go through the first use case. The first use case is in health industry. We want to know prioritization of patients in the emergency department. So an AI system suggests prioritizing treatment for patients with the highest probability of survival, rather than those who arrive first or are in acute condition. So from the 3 types of ethic that we talked about, which one do you think actually is most fair? And it's interesting when you hear to the other views. So if you guys 3 that are sitting here, you get closer together, I think everybody else, and you guys 2 together. So I think I give you 5 minutes from now, and I want you to discuss this together. We'll share afterwards. Okay, don't wait. Go ahead. So you're thinking individually? It helps to do the experience exchange.
Are you able to describe the virtue again as well?
Sure, like
In my sense. So does that depend on the physician?
decision. Yeah, physicians.
Empathy.
Exactly. So if the physician decide that this patient has to be prioritized to the other one, then that will be the case.
And in a sense, that's how a lot of doctors work now, acting as God in the sense of making decisions, deciding who gets treatment or not.
So
I guess that's, without AI, that's currently how it would work.
well, all of them can be true, I tell you. But which one is more fair than others?
Yeah. Very interesting.
Right?
I would typically say I always go for pragmatism, but but yeah, ethics are very.
You will be surprised to listen to the others, I tell you. Okay, in a minute we get there. You're welcome. We have a case study, everybody is busy. Thank you. We have 1 more minute, so you can continue to discuss. Okay, anyone would like to share first? And I tell you, you will be surprised to listen to everybody because their opinion might be totally different from your opinion, and nothing is wrong or right. All of them can be right, but let's just see what you're thinking. This group?
Couldn't really decide between pragmatism and kind of virtue ethics, expert in the loop type thing.
So pragmatism was the first one you select in this case? Okay, nice, and that's right. So you think it's kind of fair decision on that, right?
Within the bounds of the problem, yeah.
Okay, great. So let's.
It kind of depends whose vision of fair it is, but I think from a societal level, virtue ethics is the one that probably gives like the most overall fair, but there are going to be people who feel it's unfair, but overall feels more fair.
So if you're calling, yeah, and then you see that it's a virtue ethics that decides who should get attend, then you feel that it's kind of fair.
I think so.
Okay, interesting. And again, there is no right and wrong answer. All of them can be right. It's just who make this system. Believe me. So who is the one actually creating algorithm can create the right or wrong system. Maybe we can move there. What did you decide?
It's a bit hard to say who is the most likely to say, but who decides that? That wouldn't change if pragmatism is the right thing or not.
Yeah.
If the system is correct or not.
So but when you create a system, you really don't know who is calling, right? So you just have to create a system that is most practical. So you go with pragmatism, right? Kind of. Or virtue ethics. Okay, difficult enough. Anybody from there would like to comment?
We were toying between the top, like the pragmatism and virtue ethics, but I think the question's too ambiguous because we don't know what the treatment is. Like, is it something super serious? Because we kind of sort of said, well, if it's super serious, pragmatism is the best approach. But if it's just like someone's got a broken leg, we were sort of comparing it like virtue ethics would kick in. So like if it's a child with a broken leg, you'd rather send the doctors there rather than come to us. So it depends what it's triaging.
Yeah, it depends to the situation. So far, nobody has selected the right-based. And I'll tell you another thing. So anyone from the last person from there? Yeah, please.
We went for virtue pragmatism, mostly because it was a sort of an injury level, how serious the injury is, and I think pragmatism and virtue kind of fit into that physician's best judgment of the situation, and pragmatism of how serious is the injury, does it need to be seen first. And I think that is kind of what the NHS does in a way. When you go to A&E, you get like a injury level, like how serious is the injury in your opinion, and then patients.
Yeah, but that's a fair answer. Okay, I tell you some secret then. Thank you very much, first of all, for your contribution. I think it was interesting, and you heard already that there are different opinions in this room. And in Norway, I had a kind of very close neighbor to us. She was 65. She called to get an MR appointment to the same lab that I had called almost a couple of days ago. My appointment at the age of 35 was already done in 3 weeks, and her appointment was next year after 7 months. And here you go, I just thought, okay, this is not, something definitely is wrong. And I'm calling the lab and saying, okay, I think you've done a mistake because I called just a couple of days before her. I don't think the whole Norway is waiting in queue, so something should be wrong. And they're saying, no, it's not wrong. We have this right-based, actually, tool that tell us that because she's over 60 years, so there is less possibility for her to survive. So she's actually last in the queue. But your case is different because you're only 30, in your 30s, and then you have a higher possibility to live. And that was kind of like a cancer test. So now imagine we're in the same case, we technologists in the room sitting and designing, and I totally agree with you. I never go with the right-based because to me that was just, it's a nonsense. But out there, the person who ordered this system, which most probably is the government because they are paying for this, they go with totally different things. So I just wanted you to remember this when you're making your own AI system. It will be biased, so you at least have a chance to challenge it. So let's go to the next one. And then in this one, you have the police, predictive crime analysis. A system predicts an increased likelihood of crime in a specific area and recommends extra patrols. I think we all in our countries have some areas that are more exposed to crime than others. It was interesting, last night I just stopped by in the supermarket in front of the hotel to buy something, and a person grabbed a few things and just ran away from the stores. I've never seen something like that in my life. Then I'm just turning out to the cashier and say, what was that? And she says, oh, just believe me, it happens 10 times a day here. And I'm like, okay, where are we in the world? So this is a kind of situation that we all have in our countries. So now I want you to say that should data-driven recommends be followed if the reinforced social bias is as such? So what do you think? Maybe you can use the same group to discuss it about 4 minutes. Okay, maybe we can start from there this time. What did you find out? Okay, fair enough, like combination between virtue and pragmatic. So give license to steal for a smaller amount. But, exactly, but from the shop point of view, you don't think it's fair enough. You think there is something essentially wrong with the regulation in the country. Of course, thank you for sharing. Would you like to share? Kind of like preventive actions to help people to not come there. But once they come there, so you recommend like right-based. Yeah. Well, I understand. And I know that, again, there is no right or wrong answer. And I appreciate your honest comment on this. So we already see that there is a different perspective on this. Let's get back there. What did you find out? Thank you. Interesting. So that was already a mix of pragmatism and right-based. And I'll get the last one from there, those three people sitting beside each other. So who wants to comment? You don't want to comment? Anyone else in the room wants to comment? Yeah, please.
I think that with pragmatism, an increased police presence will inherently induce more convictions in an area due to there being more police to police like crime and things. So it will just become a cycle of more people being arrested, and then I think it can lead into a bit of a loop, not necessarily solving anything. So I agree with the gentleman there said about social care being in areas of when crime is there, and it's usually a result of social issues or monetary or something like that. And instead of just more police presence, it should be social care. Don't really give an opinion of what thinking of like. I think we went with rights-based and virtue.
Right-based, yeah. But your argument is quite understandable. I tell you what, this was a Harvard Business School case, and we had a Homeland Security Office visit in school. And what has happened, in different states, there are different police departments. And if you look at the entire America with all those states, you have almost 10, 12 in each category. So there is not like one size fits all when you come to the police departments in the US. And the federal one, they went with the right base, and it was like an eternal discussion of what is right, what is wrong. So there is no right and wrong, but the one who designed the system has to choose one of them in order to make the system up and running. So let's do the last one, which is also interesting. I usually, for this, I can be engaged for hours. But the insurance, the dynamic pricing of car insurance, which already in EU, it's under discussion in EU Commission, I warn you now. So an AI system analyzes driving behavior and adjusts price individually based on speed, braking, time of driving, and etc. Imagine you're 18 and you just got your driving license. And imagine you're 55 and you've never had an accident. But you're driving fairly quick or speedy. So what is your reaction to this when you hear this? Maybe we can give another 4 minutes. But this is coming, I tell you. So this will requires engagement because this will be coming in next 2 years. Okay, let's see what is the line between privacy and pricing model. So maybe I can go first to my fellow Norwegian.
In an isolated system, the pragmatic approach would probably be good. Only looked at the premiums for driving, because that'd be safer, people would drive better. But it's then a slippery slope to other areas in life. For example, if there's a traffic peak, then you get further behind the health queue, for example. Or if you're born with something else, which makes you maybe you should tax more because you're born with like a disability or something, because then you're more expensive for the community. So it's a slippery slope. So isolated, good, but since the world is not like that, not good.
Yeah, interesting perspective. Thanks for sharing. Would you like to share?
So we kind of went down the pragmatism route as well. And I think compared to other models that insurance companies use, which are heavily biased, which is certain groups of people get higher or lower fees. So basing it on how you're actually driving is probably much fairer than the existing models.
So pragmatic approach, that's what you recommend. Great, so let's see what you say here. There is already differences.
Rights-based. Maybe it's the cynic in me that's like, they're going to collect my data just to try and jack up the price on me rather than to lower the price for other people.
Yeah, it was kind of difficult to decide the price of privacy because it's a profiteering company rather than something that's just established to do some good and protect some people. I know that's the point of insurance. It's
Complicated.
difficult to find a line.
Yeah, absolutely. So complicated, but right-based was what we recommended. Maybe I can get the gentleman there, the last one.
Yeah, we So where's the fairness of it? And it's only a violation of privacy if not everybody is held to the same standard.
Absolutely. Great. So the point was that we can be disagree on our perspective. And I want you to know that you're technologists, so you will go out in the world and start creating a lot of other AI tools like what you did before. So be prepared that the world is not always following what you're saying, because there are different perspectives on this. And there is always bias in this way or another. None of them probably are right or wrong, because everybody can defend what they say, but it's complicated. So the more people you involve when you design the system, and the more systematic approach you have, the more successful you will be when you have the AI tool design. So of course, this presentation was a bit unorthodox like others, because the type of academic background that I have is a bit different. I just want people to practice. There is something saying that you listen to something, you forget. You see that there is a better chance to remember, but when you engage, you definitely will remember that. And that's why I did it in this way. So hopefully you remember what you learned, and I would like to stay in touch with you. So if you have any of this channel that you're engaging, so I would love to hear from you and get connected. Thank you for me.